Hey guys, got another video coming at you live from the beautiful Crown Isle Golf Course in Courtenay, British Columbia. It's about an hour and a bit drive from Nanaimo. It's on Vancouver Island. I love this golf course, it's very fun. And this topic today is gonna be kind of breaking down this video in particular. It's not gonna be of like a topic. It's more so gonna discuss my round and tell you how I fix a round or kind of save a round, what kind of goes through my head, because I didn't play particularly well. I mean, I played decent, I just didn't score well on the front nine, made a bunch of bogeys early, but I brought it back on the back nine and managed to bring this round to an under par round. And I find a lot of golfers really struggle to kind of fix a round or save a round when things aren't going particularly great. They make a couple of bogeys early in the round, and then all of a sudden they blow up and your round is essentially over. So today I'm going to talk about my thought process of what I go through when this happens. And obviously a bit of a disclaimer, I'm a professional golfer, so I am quite skilled. So even though I'm not playing good, I know deep down in my head mentally that I can rattle off a bunch of birdies in a row, do whatever. But you know, sometimes you lose the swing a little bit, you kind of lose your touch, feel around the greens. So sometimes it happens, and it happens to everyone, myself included. But the kind of overarching theme here is to never give up on a golf round. Even if you're going to shoot a million, you can still always garner some good feels, some good thoughts for some shots later in the round, because for a round next time. Because essentially, like, if you're in that position where you need to scramble a par, or really need to get up and down, or really need to make par or birdie on the last couple holes to win a tournament, make a cut, whatever it may be, these rounds, don't throw them away, because these rounds are very valuable. Because when you're not playing well, if you can fix it, get it together, and score well, it's going to really make things easier in the future, because you have this to kind of fall back on. You have this as an example of proof that you can turn it around. So never give up on a golf round, even though things may look very dismal and very bad, because we've all been there. But in terms of this round in particular, par 5 right out of the get-go, didn't play it particularly good. I think I did catch the tree on the right side there, trying to rip a cut around the corner. And I didn't birdie that first hole, which is unfortunate because it is a very gettable par 5. Not too bad. And then again, next hole is kind of a weird hole. You can either blast it as close to the green as possible, but it's tricky because this golf course is relatively firm. And if you've never played this golf course before, it actually is the host site for decades for, I guess, formerly the Canadian Tour. It's now the PGA Tour of Americas. But this site has always been the Canadian Tour Q School location. And I've played in it before. This golf course can play extremely hard and tough because this golf course gets really firm, especially on the greens. Not necessarily it doesn't get crazy hard or difficult, greens don't get crazy quick. It just, this course can get really firm. So you're gonna hit some shots that are gonna appear to be right in the middle of the fairway, and then all of a sudden they're gonna run through and they're gonna go to the rough. And then when you're in the rough, it's gonna be very hard to hold the green, so you have to line it short. So there's a lot of strategy in this golf course, and people that play in this tournament, Q School, they shoot low. So people are really, really good at golf, and they make this look a lot easier than it actually is. Now, here's kind of my first hiccup in the round. I wouldn't really call it a hiccup, kind of unlucky. If you saw the tee shot here on this par 5, it's water all up the right side, and you cannot make the mistake of missing it right. So I aim up the left side, trying to hit a little bit of cut. I feel like I could carry that bunker, but it was a little bit into the wind, and it hit the top edge of the bunker, came back down, and I had kind of a bit of a, I'm not going to say it was a plug lie, but there was a clump of sand right behind my ball. So it made making good contact very difficult, essentially. So I kind of just took a wedge and hoped and prayed I'd hit a clean contact, because I was not going to leave that shot in the sand. Still made par though, which is nice. And this is probably one of the best shots of the day. There was 310 yards to the out of bounds. I hit 3-wood, and I hit a little draw, pulled it, and it almost went out of bounds. And then I hit this launching 7-iron over the trees. Probably one of the best shots of the day. Probably one of the best 7-irons I've hit in a long time. And now here's my buddy Josh. We're on this hole on this green. We're kind of right beside each other. And one thing I noticed him, he blasts this putt way long. It's a little bit downhill. Everything is kind of feeding towards the fairway. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, you can't hit it past. It's a very quick putt. So what do? I'm kind of getting in my own way here, and I just leave it way short. And now if we cut to the next part here, Josh, although he hit it way past the hole, has an uphill putt, has an easy putt. It's a lot easier putt than mine because my putt is going to end up breaking quite a bit, and it's downhill, side hill. He makes his putt, and unfortunately for me, not to get any spoilers, but I'm going to miss my putt. So just because a playing partner or someone hits a putt way by, it shouldn't really affect it too much. Obviously, take that information as you will, but you need to figure out, especially with a putt of that length, like I think we're looking about like 35, 40 feet or so, it's going to be difficult to make that putt. Obviously, you're going to try to make it. The goal here is to drip it in, not to blast it, like firm it into the middle. But you have to kind of assess where the best place would be to miss, whether it's short, whether it's long. And if the miss is better to hit it short, then, you can be a little bit more, you can just kind of die that putt in as opposed to trying to blast along. The play there, the miss was long because it was an uphill putt, relatively easy. So it was fine to be more aggressive there in that sense. And I made the mistake. So that's the first kind of mistake of the round. Second mistake of the round comes at the next hole right after. I have about 215 yards to the pin, back pin, greens are relatively firm, hit a 5-iron. I felt like I slipped a little bit, but I don't know. I think I just made horrific contact and I hit it quite fat, and it hit the top of the bunker, came back down, and I got all of a sudden like a 45-yard bunker shot. And it's looking like we're going to go 2 over really quickly, unfortunately. Actually, no, we're going to go 3 over quickly because I 3-putted one of those par 3s earlier in the round. So I'm 3 over, and we're getting to 2 tricky holes coming up here. So in this sense, I'm a little bit, I'm not going to say worried because worried is not a right word, but I'm 3 over par. I don't really feel like I've played bad yet. I'm still 3 over par. So my thought process going here is to not panic. Obviously, I'm hitting a lot of good shots. Like if you've noticed, hitting a lot of like fairways, hitting a lot of greens. So I know deep down that I'm not playing bad. Okay. If I was playing horrifically, that would be a little bit of a different story. I would have to kind of change my strategy a little bit more, maybe take different clubs off the tees, be a lot more conservative, kind of hitting to the middle of the greens and kind of just not taking on pins if I'm playing bad. But I'm playing fine. I've just made, 1 bad putt and 1 bad swing, and all of a sudden 3 over. So no room to panic there. But I need to make sure I'm still doing okay, just because it's very easy to, quickly 3-putt this one or mess up this one. So I really need to make sure my focus is quite high. Every single shot needs to be perfectly visualized before I hit it. This shot here, this shot was hit so good the tracer wouldn't even pick it up because I hit a low screaming cut around the corner. And how I hit this shot, I did tee it down slightly here. And one thing I do when I'm hitting cuts, and I would urge you to do the same if you have a relatively neutral path and can control your club path pretty decently, is I don't really open the club face. I want to keep the club face relatively square, and I'm going to control my club path by swinging left. So the more I swing left, the more that ball is going to bend. Because essentially when it comes to ball flight rules, for the most part, just to keep it simple, the club face determines where the ball starts, and the club path determines the amount of curve. So if your club face and club path are traveling the same direction, let's say perfectly straight, it's going to be a straight shot, assuming good contact. If they're both going in the same direction left, same degrees, it's going to be a slight pull to the left. It's not going to curve at all. When that club face and club path deviate, that's where you're going to get curve, essentially. So I try to keep the club face relatively square and let the club path do the work, because it's very easy to lose a shot like that hard right. Now, I did manage to birdie that 9th hole, made a good putt here. Now we got a par 5 coming up. And this is, I didn't hit it necessarily, it didn't lead to a bogey on this hole, but this was a stupid decision. I have about 290 to the pin. I know the course is relatively firm. There's people on the green, a little bit into the wind. I have kind of a lie that could jump, could scream. And what I do, instead of waiting for the green, I'm like, I'm just going to hit it. And I almost purposely, subconsciously hit it bad because I didn't want to hit it good. So it rolled up on the green and hitting into the group in front. That was such an idiotic thing to do. I should never do that. Always give 100% focus to the shot I'm trying to hit. That was an example of something to never do. Commit to the shot, whatever shot you're trying to do, and just make sure you hit it to the best of your ability. That was so dumb, and it could have very easily messed me up. I could have hit it way right, way left, or whatever, and caused a bogey. But I ended up almost making birdie there, which is nice, but that's something you need to not do, especially when you're not.
It sounds like a rock's landing on
particularly well. You really need to make sure you have 100% focus and give each shot the attention it deserves. So very lucky, kind of left unscathed on that one. Now, 2 over par, and I got a couple like relatively like, I'm not going to say birdie holes, but like shorter par 4s coming in. And this one here, I just split the middle of the fairway, hit a really good drive. Again, the theme here, hitting really good drives, so I'm not going to all of a sudden stop hitting them just because I'm not necessarily playing well or scoring well. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and putts are going to start dropping, kind of like this one here. This was a little bit of a downhill putt, so I really tapped it, and just dead center, perfect read. Aim point is honestly really helping my reads. It's just a matter of making sure I get that speed to match that read. And this was a bit of a tricky shot here. I mean, 220 yards. The wind kind of switched right on me just as I was hitting, unfortunately. So I didn't want to hit a 4-iron. I ended up hitting a 5-iron because I didn't want to go long and miss. It was a lot better of a miss short right, and I ended up just hitting it a little bit short left, short of this bunker, and I had to hit a really high flop here to try to get this close to the pin. You can kind of see my rehearsals here. I'm really trying to keep that club face from turning over, pointing to the sky, and I'm going to have that follow through very close to my body. It's going to have a really wide takeaway, but I want that follow through to be really close to my body. So that's something you can do, work on when you're trying to hit those type of shots. I find it's a lot easier to do it. And unfortunately, bogeyed here, so I gave that birdie right back, sitting at 2 over par, which again, not bad considering that front 9, those first, I think 7 holes, I was 3 over par. So not bad. Again, I got some birdie, I'm not going to say birdie holes coming in, but I know if I hit some good shots, I will have some birdie chances. So again, I just got to keep giving myself opportunities to try to chip away at that over par. And here, I wasn't too aggressive. I could have easily cut around the corner with driver, but I wanted to make sure I had a decent shot into the green. I got 158 here. I'm going with a pitching wedge. And one thing that I really would struggle with beforehand, especially if I'm not focusing, is I got 158. My pitching wedge does not go 158. And what I would typically do, I would try to hit that pitching wedge as hard as I could, so it would then it would then go 158. But in reality, like, I'm grabbing a pitching wedge because pins at the back, I don't want to go long. I'm out of the rough, so it's relatively going to fly a little bit further with no spin. The greens are firm. So realistically, in that sense, that pitching wedge, it's not going to carry 158. It's realistically going to go a perfect normal pitching wedge because I'm going to account for about, 6-7 yards for the rough. I'm going to account at least 20 feet of rollout. So in that sense, that's 6 yards, and then we're talking about another 6 or 7 yards, so 13 yards. So now it's a 145 shot with my pitching wedge, which is actually perfect. So one thing you guys shouldn't do when you're, grabbing more club or grabbing less club to hit into a shot because this is going to jump. Don't hit it hard. Hit it the specific distance you're trying to get to. That's something that's super important. It's very easy to hit that hard, and all of a sudden it jumps, and now you're hitting that pitching wedge 175, and it's going to be impossible up and down. Or you just don't hit it good, you hit it a little bit fat, and all of a sudden, you're short of the green. So I managed to get that back-to-back birdies there. That last hole was played to absolute perfection. There's water all at the left side, and it's 310 yards to the water, a little bit into the wind, so I know driver can absolutely get there. 3-wood, if I crunched a low pulley draw, could get there, but I ended up just hitting a high cut, kind of laying quite a bit back into the fairway, had 178, hit a 7-iron perfectly into the wind, and it was a perfect number, and ended up making the putt, which is good. So again, giving myself chances here, giving myself opportunities to really try to make some birdies and chip away at that over par, because I think right now I am now even par for the day, which is good because it was looking really bad. I got a par 5 here now, so I can get it to under par right now. And this was a really tricky putt. I was kind of on the fence of whether to chip it or putt it. It needed to be hit at such a perfect pace to get over that hill and kind of drip over, or it's very easy to leave that short, hit it by. I don't know. It was just a really tricky one, and unfortunately, I will 3-putt, so I won't get it to under par numbers, unfortunately. But that's fine. Again, there's no panic, no nothing here. It was a tricky shot, and it's hard. It was just a hard birdie from that because you need it to be absolutely perfect, and that's something I'm not going to get too down on myself about because it's very easy, again, to be like, oh, I got a par 5. I got to make birdie here, got to make eagle here to get it back, and then you 3-putt like that. It's realistically, that was a hard shot. So not going to get too down on myself there because, again, more opportunities. I'm hitting the ball very, very well right now. So I can actually have more attempts at birdie. And like here, again, got another great attempt at birdie. And unfortunately, it is going to slide by just a little bit. I thought I hit a perfect putt there, but unfortunately, it missed to the right. So at this point, I'm feeling great. I know I am hitting the ball well, and I was originally just going to hit a 5-iron off this tee to lay up short of those kind of trees and bunkers in the middle. But I'm like, you know what? I'm hitting driver awesome. I'm just going to blast this at the green. It's about 370 yards to the green. I'm feeling good, so I'm like, you know what? Let's go. And I hit it about 30 yards short of the green, which was great, so about a 330-yard drive. And I got a very tricky up and down. This is a critical point in the round, especially if you're in a tournament here, because it'd be so easy to leave this one in the bunker trying to get cute, being like, oh, I did the good thing, I hit a great drive, and now I should be rewarded with a birdie. Nope. If you are in position here where it's a tricky shot, it's a very high-risk shot, I don't know, almost misspoke there. But make sure you are playing this relatively conservative and not taking on unnecessary risk. It's very, the smart play would be to hit this quite by and have like, you know, a 10-footer, 15-footer. I was lucky, I hit the pin, it stopped dead. I hit a great shot though, to be fair, and again, this little shot is working for me, so I managed to hit that really close and have a tap in for birdie. So now I'm in under par figures. I'm gonna be 1 under for the day, which is awesome because being 3 over through 7 or 6 was looking really bad. So very happy with how I battled back on this round. Again, one thing when this happens to you, be positive. You're capable of good shots. You can make birdies. You can hole out for eagle. You can do anything awesome at any time. So don't give up. It's very, very important to never give up on any round, even though it may seem like a waste. Grind it out. You never know when that's going to come in handy in the future. And I'm going to take this round to the next tournament to make sure I have those same feels and thoughts. So if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate you. See you next time.